Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Cerebellum Podcast. So today we're going to be talking about a fat loss diet or way of eating that will help you to lose fat and build muscle this year. So I don't really like using the term diet. The reason I have diet in the title is honestly for clickbait. But what we're really going to be talking about is the way that you're going to be eating. The meals, because when we talk about diet, all that means is that we are restricting things and we're cutting things out, which is true, but I think so many people see that word and they correlate it with other things. But the whole reason for that diet being in the title is just so that it would attract attention and you guys get what you actually need, which is a way of eating instead of a diet. So we're going to be talking about 3 things that you can do and incorporate into your nutrition that will help you to lose fat and build muscle. So let's get right into it. So number 1 is making it animal-based. So a lot of people will ask me, Josh, what about the Mediterranean diet? What about, keto? Should I do that? Should I just cut out carbs? And honestly, the thing that I found is the best, and the thing that's not only worked for me, but for many of my clients, is eating mostly animal-based. What does that mean? So animal-based means from things that are grass-fed. So animals that are grass-fed, like grass-fed beef, grass-fed lamb, eating things like chicken and fish and things of that nature, and having most of your protein come from whole sources of animal protein. Eggs, great example. Dairy, another great one. Having most of your food and your protein coming from animal-based foods is going to be the way to go. Now, like I said, you want that stuff to be grass-fed, ideally, which if you are getting chicken, you're getting fish. Unfortunately, that obviously can't be grass-fed. But if you are going to go get chicken, obviously making sure that it's USDA choice, which still isn't fantastic, just because what that means is that the chickens, even though they could be free range, they could be roaming around. That means that they could still be eating, the grains and stuff that have microplastics and things of that nature inside the actual grains that the chickens are eating. So, and obviously you'd be eating that as well, which is not ideal. So things like chicken and fish and turkey and poultry in general and that sort of thing isn't the most ideal if you want to get into, the 1% of the 1% basically. But in terms of lean sources of animal-based protein, you want to go for things like chicken, things like fish, and if you're going to go for fish, go for always wild. Don't go for farm raised. Always go for wild. So like if you're getting salmon, get like a wild sockeye salmon instead of a farm raised. Always do that. And so, but you're going to want to think of things like grass-fed beef, grass-fed lamb, like I said before, and that sort of thing, because that is going to be sort of the healthiest alternative to like a, just a plain old burger that is probably got antibiotics in it, and it was fed, a bunch of microplastics and soy and corn, beans in their grains. So you don't want that. So always thinking if you can get most of your calories from animal-based foods. Like I said, it doesn't have to just be the animal, but it could also be things that come from the animal, like eggs and like dairy, cheese, and that sort of thing. And obviously, if you're gonna get cheese, get the good stuff, get the raw cheese. I just got hooked on Gruyere cheese from Switzerland, and really, really good. So always make sure that you're getting the real stuff, the raw stuff, the good stuff when you are getting that. So that's number 1, is going animal-based. Number 2 is prioritizing your protein. So prioritizing your protein, meaning eating most of your protein at the beginning of the day and leaving more of like the fun stuff, carbs and stuff like that, for later in the day. That doesn't mean you can't have carbohydrates or other fun things earlier in the day, but just make sure that at the beginning of the day, you're getting a big chunk of the protein that you need per day in so that you're not sort of scrambling to get it at the very end at dinner or whatever. So prioritize your protein. So for example, if you're eating 3 meals a day and your goal is to get 150 grams of protein in, I'd say by lunch you want to have at least maybe 120 grams of protein in out of that 150, at least. So that way dinner can be whatever you want. And dinner is typically the meal that you are probably most likely going to be out and about, going out to dinner, going out with friends, things of that nature. So you always want to make sure that you have the bulk of your protein in before the evening. So that's number 2, is prioritize your protein. Number 3 is cut out most of the, I'm saying most because in an ideal world it would be everything, but I don't do this. Most people don't do this, even in the industry, but cut out most processed, artificial, just crap. If you are reading the label of whatever you're about to eat and you don't understand or can't pronounce most of those things, or your grandma couldn't understand or pronounce most of those things, then you probably shouldn't be eating it, because it's full of things that are just designed chemically to make you want to eat more of it. And so just try and stay away from those types of things. If it's in a package, usually that's not a good thing, like a protein bar or something like that. It's usually not the greatest option. You're going to want to go for, like I said, animal-based foods, things with like one ingredient in them, literally, and fruits and veggies. And so you're going to want to cut out a lot of the processed foods and artificial crap as well. And so if you do all 3 of those things, which are stick to an animal-based diet for the most part, number 2, prioritize your protein, and number 3, cut out most of the processed and artificial crap in your diet, you're going to just feel better, have more energy, just be able to go out and honestly seize the day. And also the satiation that you feel after you eat a meal, it's completely different when you're on an animal-based diet, where you're eating a lot of ground beef, you're eating a lot of eggs, and you're eating a lot of things like chicken and that sort of thing. It's so different how full you feel versus if you're just eating things like protein shakes and protein bars and stuff with a lot of added sugars and things of that nature in there. Because like I said, those things are put in the actual protein bars and things like that to make you want to eat more of them. It's the best little subscription model ever that the businesses have made. You are literally designed to want to eat more of it because of the chemicals that are put into those protein bars, and it's not just protein bars, but literally everything that you eat, that you have things you really just cannot pronounce or understand, dextrose and xanthan gum and all that sort of thing that you see on the back of those labels. They are just designed there to make you want to eat more of them. And so if you can stick to whole-based foods, you'll find that you are not only feeling better, more energized, but you're also more full, which if you are in a caloric deficit, trying to lose fat and build muscle, that is going to be essential. So just to recap, those 3 things that will help you to create a more sustainable fat loss diet or just way of eating is number 1, animal-based, number 2, prioritize protein, and number 3, cut out most of the processed and artificial stuff. So that is what I got for you today. If you follow those 3 steps, like I said, you're going to feel so much better. You're going to feel more energized. So go ahead, implement those things best as you can, and I hope you guys have a great day. All right, talk to you soon.